To start our conversation today, let's do an exercise. Set modern politics aside just for a moment, so we can explore a truly unique narrative, the story of Israel as it is presented in the Bible. And this is a story that, according to the scriptures themselves, goes far beyond the past. The central idea here, the heart of the biblical narrative, is that Israel is not just a nation with a rich history. It is presented as an entity with a prophetic role, a role that continues and extends into the future. So, to really understand what the texts say, it's very useful to think through two lenses. The more common view, the one we see every day, focuses on Israel as a modern political state. But the biblical perspective, which is our focus here, sees Israel as a prophetic subject, something defined by a covenant with God. Let's dive deep into this now. The foundation of this entire story, the bedrock of everything, is one fundamental element, a divine promise made thousands of years ago. And that promise is the famous Abrahamic Covenant, found in the book of Genesis. The key point here, the thing we need to hold on to, is that the text described this covenant as a perpetual pact, meaning it is not an agreement with an expiration date. And it is that detail that sets the stage for everything that follows. And here's an interesting point. The biblical narrative makes a point of saying that the origin of the nation did not come from a military campaign or human conquest. It came from a declaration by God. That completely changes how we understand the entire destiny of Israel. Israel's journey as we see it in the Old Testament is full of highs and lows. It is a cycle of faithfulness and disobedience that leads to very difficult moments of dispersion, but also to promises of a return. If we look at this timeline, we see a clear pattern. There was a time of unity, of glory, followed by division. And the prophets warned that disobedience would lead to dispersion. And that is exactly what happened. First with the Assyrians, then with the Babylonians. To anyone at the time, it looked like the end of the road. But here is the beauty of the prophetic message. It is a two-sided coin. Figures like Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and Isaiah did not speak only of the fall. They also predicted that one day there would be a return, a restoration, both national and spiritual, drawing people from the farthest corners of the earth. Now we take a leap through history. We leave antiquity and move into the modern era, focusing on a very long period of diaspora, of the dispersion of the Jewish people. Just think about it. For nearly 2 millennia, the Jewish people lived scattered across the world, without a country, without a capital, without an army. From a historical standpoint, the mere survival of that identity is already something extraordinary. Then we arrive at this year, a year that changed everything. After centuries and millennia of dispersion, 1948 marks the proclamation of the modern state of Israel. And this event, the reestablishment of Israel, is seen in different ways. For many, it is a clear fulfillment of ancient prophecies. For others, it is the result of very complex political and historical processes. But the fact remains that it is an unparalleled historical event. From here, the biblical narrative shifts our focus. It invites us to look not only at what has already happened, but at what the texts say is still to come. That is the big question, isn't it? What does the Bible say comes next? It is that question that takes us straight to the heart of the prophecies about the ultimate destiny of the nation of Israel. And what stands out about these prophecies is that the focus shifts. It is not just about a physical and geographic return. It is about a spiritual restoration. Prophets like Ezekiel and Zechariah speak of a profound transformation from the inside out, and also that Jerusalem would become a center of global tension. And this idea does not stay confined to the Old Testament. Moving into the New Testament, the Apostle Paul in Romans reinforces it. He states that God's covenant with Israel still stands, which only underscores this idea of a divine plan that was not canceled. In the end, if we pick up the thread that connects the entire story of Israel in the Bible, from Genesis to the final prophecies, we will find one single and powerful central theme. The biblical story of Israel is not just about land, politics, or geography. It is about something much greater. It is about a promise, a covenant, a divine purpose that transcends time. Let's recap quickly. The story begins with a covenant that is eternal, moves through highs and lows, exile and return, and positions Israel as a central piece in a much larger divine story. a story whose final chapter, according to the Bible, has not yet been written. In summary, the perspective the texts give us is that Israel's existence is not a historical accident. On the contrary, it is a living testimony to a plan, to a faithfulness of God that continues to unfold generation after generation. All of this leaves us with one final reflection. The question hangs in the air: how is it that texts written thousands of years ago still echo so powerfully today, shaping not only the identity of a people, but in a certain way, even the dynamics of our world? It is a question that connects the ancient past to an extraordinarily complex present.